Hi, welcome back to Insibook, where books meet breakthroughs. Today, we're unlocking the mindset secrets of Mel Robbins through her 3 most powerful books: The 5-Second Rule, Flip Hesitation into Instant Action; The High 5 Habit, Build Confidence with 1 Bold Morning Ritual; The Let Them Theory, Let Go, Level Up, and Protect Your Peace. These aren't just self-help tips, they're life tools. Let's break them down and unlock your full potential. Hit play, and let's grow together. It begins with a feeling many of us know intimately, that paralyzing moment when you know you should do something, but you just don't. You feel stuck, maybe overwhelmed, maybe just lacking the push to get started. It might be the alarm clock blaring in the morning, a daunting task at work, a difficult conversation you need to have, or a dream you've been putting off. There's a gap between knowing what you want and actually taking action. You recognize the need for change. You even desire it, but something stops you every single time. It's like being stuck in mud, wanting to move forward, but finding your feet won't budge. This internal struggle, this hesitation, this gap between intention and action is a universal human experience, and it's the very challenge this journey is designed to conquer. Imagine finding yourself in a moment of profound crisis. Perhaps you're facing a professional setback, a personal struggle, or simply feeling lost and adrift. You're searching for answers, for a way out, for something that can reignite your drive and help you reclaim control. This isn't just about motivation, which can be fleeting. It's about finding a reliable, repeatable mechanism to propel yourself into action, regardless of how you feel. It's about building a bridge from your aspirations to your reality, one action at a time. This is the space where the 5-second rule was born, conceived not in a laboratory or a boardroom, but in a moment of deep personal need, and inspired by the quiet courage of others. Think about the story of the first American woman in space, Sally Ride. Facing the immense pressure and uncertainty of her mission, she focused on a simple, structured countdown to launch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This wasn't just a procedural step. It was a deliberate, powerful technique to manage anxiety, focus the mind, and initiate a massive, complex action. It was about overriding the fear, the doubts, the what-ifs, and just going. That powerful image, that simple sequence, became the seed for a revolutionary approach to personal change. What if a similar, simple countdown could help us launch our own lives, overcome our own inertia, and achieve the things we truly want? What if there was a universal tool, accessible anytime, anywhere, that could disrupt the patterns of procrastination and self-doubt and get us moving? This is the essence of the 5-second rule, a simple, actionable strategy that empowers you to take control of your life by acting on your impulses for change within 5 seconds. It's not about complex psychological techniques, life coaching jargon, or finding some hidden motivation deep within. It's about interrupting the very process that stops you. You know that moment when an idea, a need, or an intention pops into your head? That flicker of inspiration? That's your gut, your intuition, your higher self trying to nudge you towards something beneficial. But almost immediately, the brain kicks in. The self-doubt, the fear, the procrastination, the internal monologue that says, maybe later, I'm not ready, what if I fail, starts up. This internal chatter hijacks your impulse and keeps you stuck. The 5-second rule is designed to stop that hijacking. The moment you have an impulse to act on something you know will move you forward, get out of bed, send that email, start that project, speak your mind, you engage the rule. You count backwards, aloud or silently. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. This countdown is critical. It's a sonic anchor, a mental switch. As you count down, you are deliberately activating a different part of your brain. You're shifting gears from the emotional, reactive part of your brain, the limbic system, to the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for higher-level thinking, decision-making, and executive function. By focusing on the numbers and the impending action, you disrupt the neural pathway that leads to hesitation and self-sabotage. You essentially create a moment of mental space, a brief window where you can override your self-doubt and consciously choose to act. And the go is crucial. It's the signal, the launch command. As soon as you hit go, you must physically move. This physical action is key. It cements the decision, translates the intention into reality, and creates momentum. It's not enough to just think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to follow it with action, however small. Get out of bed. Stand up. Walk towards the door. Pick up the phone. The physical movement anchors the mental shift. This simple physical act transforms a fleeting impulse into a tangible step forward. It's the trigger that pulls you out of inertia and into motion. Why does this simple countdown work so powerfully? It taps into fundamental principles of neuroscience and behavioral change. Our brains are wired for efficiency, and often that means defaulting to the path of least resistance, staying comfortable, avoiding perceived threats like failure or rejection, and conserving energy. Procrastination is often a manifestation of this wiring, amplified by anxiety and fear. The 5-second rule acts as a cognitive interrupter. It provides a predefined strategy to deploy precisely when you feel that familiar resistance rising. Instead of getting lost in the spiral of overthinking and anxiety, you have a simple, universally applicable tool to break the cycle. The countdown itself serves as a primitive focus mechanism, pulling your attention away from the fear and onto the simple act of moving. It forces you to take ownership of that critical moment between thought and action, a moment where so many opportunities are lost. Think of it like this. Your brain has a default mode, often filled with anxieties, plans based on old fears, and the comfort of the familiar. Let's call this the womb, a place that feels safe but ultimately limits growth. The 5-second rule is the gentle but firm push needed to leave that womb. It's the catalyst that moves you from a state of passive reaction to one of active creation. It's about harnessing the power of your own impulses, those moments when you feel a genuine pull towards something better, before your own mind talks you out of it. It's about trusting that initial spark and having the courage to act on it. The beauty of the 5-second rule lies in its sheer versatility. It's not limited to one area of life. It's a universal tool for self-mastery. Consider the most common struggle. Waking up. That alarm blares, and the temptation to hit snooze is immense. Your warm bed feels incredibly inviting, while the thought of facing the day, with all its demands, feels daunting. The inner voice whispers, just 5 more minutes. Using the rule, you recognize this impulse. Instead of sinking back, you think, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and you physically move. Swing your legs out of bed, sit up, stand up. That simple physical action breaks the spell. You've moved before your brain could construct a convincing argument for staying put. You've taken the first step, and often that's all it takes to build momentum for the rest of your morning. But it extends far beyond the morning routine. Stuck on a project? Facing writer's block? Feeling intimidated by a task? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Get up and walk to your desk. Open the document. Write 1 sentence, make 1 phone call. The action doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to happen. The goal is to initiate, to break the inertia. Feeling nervous about networking or speaking up in a meeting? That familiar tightening in your chest, the urge to stay silent? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Raise your hand. Ask a question. Share an idea. You'll find that the act of speaking, even briefly, often dissipates the anxiety and builds your confidence. Think about pursuing your dreams. Maybe you have a business idea you've been nurturing, or a creative passion you want to explore. The fear of failure, the lack of resources, the feeling of not being good enough, these are powerful deterrents. The 5-second rule becomes your personal launch sequence. See an opportunity, a potential client, a chance to learn a new skill? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Send the email, sign up for the course, start the research. Each small act, propelled by the rule, chips away at the fear and builds momentum towards your larger goals. It's about moving from dreaming about the life you want to actively building it, brick by brick, action by action. This process fundamentally changes your relationship with yourself. By consistently using the 5-second rule, you start building trust. You prove to yourself, time and again, that you can rely on yourself to follow through on your intentions. This builds self-confidence, not the kind that comes from external validation, but the deep, internal confidence that arises from knowing you are a person of action. Each time you use the rule and take action, you reinforce the belief in your own capabilities. You begin to silence that nagging inner critic, the voice that constantly undermines your efforts. The rule becomes a shield against self-doubt, allowing your potential to surface. You realize that confidence doesn't precede action, it follows it. You act, and then you feel confident. The 5-second rule flips the script on how we typically think about achieving things. Furthermore, the rule empowers you to take ownership of your life and your choices. It shifts you from being a victim of circumstance or your own habits to being the driver. You recognize that you have the power to interrupt negative patterns and initiate positive change at any moment. It fosters a sense of agency. Life doesn't just happen to you, you happen to life. This is particularly relevant when dealing with setbacks or moments of feeling overwhelmed. Instead of getting lost in the problem, the rule provides a concrete step you can take right now to start moving towards a solution. It's about resilience, about bouncing back not by waiting for inspiration, but by initiating action. The application of the rule also extends to improving relationships and personal connections. Perhaps you need to apologize, express gratitude, or set a boundary. The discomfort or awkwardness can lead to avoidance, but the impulse to connect or assert yourself is valid. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Make the call. Send the text. Speak the words. These small acts of courage strengthen relationships and foster authenticity. You learn to navigate challenging interpersonal dynamics, not by avoiding them, but by using the rule to initiate necessary conversations or actions. As you consistently apply the 5-second rule, you begin to notice a pattern. You start identifying your own unique triggers for hesitation and the specific impulses you need to act on. This self-awareness grows with practice. You become more attuned to those moments when your intuition is guiding you. The rule transforms from a simple trick into a fundamental operating system for your life. It helps you build a life aligned with your values and aspirations, rather than one dictated by fear and inertia. It's about recognizing that your life is shaped by the choices you make, especially the small ones, moment by moment. This journey with the 5-second rule isn't just about crossing items off a to-do list, it's about personal transformation. It's about rediscovering your own power and potential. By consistently taking action, even small actions, you begin to change your self-perception. You see yourself as someone who acts, someone who follows through, someone who can overcome obstacles. This shifts your identity. You move from identifying as someone who struggles to get things done to someone who gets things done. This subtle but profound shift in identity fuels further action and creates a positive feedback loop. Moreover, the 5-second rule acts as a powerful engine for habit formation. Building new habits is notoriously difficult because it requires consistent action, especially in the early stages when motivation wanes. The rule provides the necessary spark to initiate the behavior every time. Need to start exercising regularly? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Put on your workout clothes, get out the door, go for that run, even if it's short. Need to meditate daily? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Sit down on the cushion, close your eyes. The rule ensures you take the first step, creating the necessary repetition for the behavior to become a habit. It's the universal trigger for starting any new routine you want to build. Conversely, it can also be used to break bad habits. Feel the urge to procrastinate, check social media unnecessarily, or engage in another unproductive behavior? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Do something else instead. Get up, drink water, do a push-up. Interrupt the pattern before it solidifies. The rule empowers you to move towards your purpose. Often, we struggle to find our passion or our life's purpose because we're waiting for a grand revelation or a perfect moment. But purpose is often discovered through action, through exploring, through trying things, and seeing what resonates. The 5-second rule allows you to take those exploratory actions. It encourages you to follow your curiosity, to try new things, to step outside your comfort zone, and to pay attention to what energizes you. By consistently using the rule to act on your impulses, whether it's learning something new, helping someone, or pursuing a creative interest, you create opportunities to discover what truly matters to you. It's not about waiting for purpose to find you. It's about building it through consistent, intentional action. Your future self, the one living with purpose and fulfillment, is built by the actions you take today, initiated by the 5-second rule. Think about the cumulative effect. One action might seem insignificant. Getting out of bed on time might not change the world. Sending one email might not land you your dream job immediately. But when you string these actions together, consistently, day after day, fueled by the 5-second rule, the impact is profound. It creates momentum. It builds competence. It transforms your trajectory. You start to see tangible results, which further reinforces your belief in yourself and the effectiveness of the rule. It becomes a virtuous cycle of action, achievement, and growing self-belief. The core philosophy is one of empowerment and radical responsibility. It asserts that you have the power to change your life, starting right now, with a simple tool. It rejects the idea that you need to wait for the perfect conditions, for motivation to strike, or for permission from others. It places the power squarely in your hands, in the moments where you choose to act or not act. It's a call to action, a reminder that life is lived in the present moment, and that the future is built upon the foundation of actions taken today. It's about harnessing the power of the present moment to create the future you desire. The simplicity is its genius. It requires no special equipment, no lengthy training, no significant willpower once you start the countdown. It's accessible to everyone, everywhere, at any time. It cuts through the complexity and the excuses that often surround personal change. It's a practical, no-nonsense strategy for anyone feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or simply wanting to live a more intentional and fulfilling life. It's about reclaiming your power, silencing the noise of self-doubt, and taking that crucial first step. Remember that feeling of being stuck? That hesitation? That gap? The 5-second rule is your universal key to unlocking yourself and moving forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. It's your permission slip and your launch command, all rolled into one simple, powerful sequence, ready to be deployed whenever you need to move from intention to action and start building the life you know you're capable of living. It's your wake-up call, your kickstart, your personal rocket booster, always available, always ready to propel you towards your potential. Imagine starting your day, not with a jolt from your alarm or the immediate pull of your phone, but with a simple, profound act of self-acknowledgement. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror, looking yourself directly in the eye, and offering yourself a high five. It might sound almost too simple, perhaps even a bit silly at first glance. Yet, this is the cornerstone of a practice designed to rewire your brain, boost your confidence, and unlock the potential that's already within you. This isn't about positive thinking divorced from action. It's about action rooted in self-recognition. We often go through our days, especially the mornings, feeling reactive, overwhelmed, or disconnected from ourselves. We might know intellectually what we need to do. Exercise, eat better, be more productive, be kinder to ourselves. But translating that knowledge into consistent action feels like climbing a mountain. The internal chatter, the self-doubt, the sheer inertia of routine can keep us stuck. We might feel like imposters in our own lives, constantly seeking external validation or waiting for the perfect moment to start making changes. This internal struggle is incredibly common, a shared human experience that often leaves us feeling powerless. We get caught in cycles of self-criticism, replaying mistakes, and amplifying our insecurities. It's a mental and emotional trap that hinders growth and dims our inherent capabilities. The high five habit emerges from recognizing this pervasive struggle. It's born from a moment of personal crisis, a realization that profound change doesn't always require a complex strategy. It starts with a simple physical gesture aimed directly at the person who matters most in your journey. You. Think about it. How often do we consciously acknowledge our own efforts, our resilience, our presence? We might celebrate achievements, but the daily grind, the small battles won before breakfast, often go unnoticed, uncelebrated. We are our own harshest critics, rarely offering ourselves the encouragement or affirmation we readily give to others. This habit is designed to change that fundamental dynamic. It's about consciously deciding to show up for yourself, to offer yourself the same support and belief you'd give a friend or loved one. The magic begins with the physical act itself. Standing before the mirror, raising your hand and connecting your palm with your reflection, it's a surprisingly powerful ritual. This isn't just a symbolic gesture, it engages your body and mind in a unique way. Firstly, the mirror aspect is crucial. Looking yourself in the eye forces a confrontation, an acknowledgement of your physical presence and your internal state. It bypasses the usual mental noise and creates a direct line of sight, soul to soul. This act of eye contact, especially with oneself, is deeply grounding. It signifies presence and self-awareness. In a world saturated with distractions, carving out even 30 seconds for this focused self-interaction is a radical act of self-care. Then there's the high five itself. Physiologically, it's an act of self-congratulation, however small. Raising your hand, the physical motion, signals a minor success, a personal win. It triggers the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine, associated with reward and motivation. It's a biological nudge, a subtle reinforcement of positive self-regard. But its power extends far beyond simple physiology. Psychologically, it acts as an interruption. When caught in a loop of negative self-talk or anxiety, the high five breaks the pattern. It forces a shift in focus from the problem or the perceived inadequacy to a moment of self-affirmation. It's a deliberate move away from self-criticism and towards self-support. It says, "I see you, you're here, you're doing this." This habit works because it taps into fundamental aspects of human psychology. We are wired for connection and validation. While we often seek this externally, the high five habit redirects that need inward. It teaches you to be your own source of affirmation. Instead of waiting for someone else to tell you you're capable, worthy, or strong, you learn to generate that feeling yourself. This internal locus of control is essential for building genuine confidence and resilience. Imposter syndrome, the persistent feeling that you're not good enough despite evidence of success, thrives on the absence of internal validation. The high five directly combats this by creating a daily practice of self-acknowledgement. It's a tangible way to counter the inner critic that whispers doubts and amplifies mistakes. Integrating this habit into your life is straightforward, but requires commitment. The key is consistency. The recommendation is to perform the high five habit every single morning, immediately upon waking, ideally before you get out of bed or check your phone. This timing is strategic. It sets the tone for your entire day. By starting with this act of self-affirmation, you prime your mind and body for positivity and proactivity. It becomes the first win of the day, establishing a momentum that can carry you through challenges. Think of it as anchoring yourself before the currents of daily demands pull you away. Making it a ritual means treating it as non-negotiable. It's not something you do if you feel like it. It's something you do because it's the foundation upon which you're building a stronger relationship with yourself. This might feel awkward initially. The voice of self-consciousness might pipe up, "This is ridiculous," or "What difference can this possibly make?" That resistance is completely normal. It's the voice of your old patterns trying to hold you back. The practice isn't about eliminating that voice, but about acting despite it. Each time you choose to perform the high five, even when it feels silly, you weaken the grip of that negative inner commentary and strengthen the pathway of self-belief. The true power of the high five habit unfolds as it creates a ripple effect throughout your life. This initial, simple act builds a subtle but significant foundation of self-trust. When you start your day by honoring yourself, you begin to believe in your own capacity to follow through on commitments, tackle difficult tasks, and navigate setbacks. This newfound self-belief isn't arrogance. It's a quiet confidence that empowers you to make choices aligned with your well-being and goals. You might find yourself more willing to speak up in a meeting, apply for that challenging role, or initiate a difficult conversation because the high five has subtly shifted your self-perception from someone who doubts to someone who believes. Consider how this impacts decision-making. When you feel affirmed and capable, you're less likely to make choices based on fear or a need for external approval. Instead, decisions become opportunities to act in accordance with your values and aspirations. The high five serves as a constant, gentle reminder of your own strength and agency. It's a mental anchor that helps you stay grounded and centered, even amidst chaos or uncertainty. This internal shift is often the precursor to the external changes we desire. It's not that the high five magically solves problems, but it equips you with the mindset and confidence to approach those problems effectively. Let's delve deeper into the scientific underpinnings that make this habit so effective. It leverages principles of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. By consistently performing the high five habit, you are essentially retraining your brain. You are creating and reinforcing neural pathways associated with self-worth, self-compassion, and accomplishment. Each high five acts like a small electrical impulse strengthening these pathways, gradually overriding older, less helpful patterns of self-criticism and doubt. Over time, this practice physically changes your brain, making positive self-perception the default rather than the exception. Self-compassion is another critical element activated by the high five. Traditional self-help often focuses on positive affirmations, but the high five adds a crucial physical and visual component. Looking yourself in the eye in the mirror transforms the abstract idea of self-love into a concrete action. It's a direct, intentional act of kindness toward yourself. Research consistently shows that self-compassion is strongly linked to greater psychological well-being, resilience in the face of adversity, and reduced levels of anxiety and depression. The high five habit provides a simple daily mechanism to cultivate this vital quality. It counters the harsh inner critic, not by arguing with it, but by offering a counter-narrative of support and acceptance. Furthermore, the habit taps into the brain's reward system. The dopamine release associated with the high five creates a positive feedback loop. This small, immediate reward reinforces the behavior, making you more likely to repeat it. While the reward might feel subtle, a fleeting sense of accomplishment or peace, its consistency builds over time. It's akin to building a savings account of self-worth, deposit by deposit, day by day. This contrasts sharply with habits that offer immediate gratification but long-term negative consequences. The high five offers a small, positive reward with long-term benefits for your mental and emotional health. The act also requires a moment of mindfulness. In performing the high five, you are pulled out of autopilot and into the present moment. You become aware of your physical self, your breath, your reflection. This brief pause creates a space between stimulus, waking up, facing the day, and response, how you choose to approach it. This mindful pause is incredibly valuable. It allows you to consciously choose your response rather than reacting automatically based on old emotional patterns. It's a micro-practice in presence and intention that sets a more deliberate tone for the hours ahead. While the core habit is simple, its implementation might face hurdles. Many people hesitate because it feels silly. This feeling often stems from societal conditioning that discourages overt self-affirmation or vulnerability, even with oneself. We're taught to be humble, perhaps even self-deprecating. The idea of celebrating oneself, even in this small way, can feel uncomfortable or even narcissistic. However, the key insight is that this habit is not about arrogance. It's about basic self-respect and acknowledging your own humanity. The feeling of silliness is temporary, a signal that you're stepping outside your comfort zone and challenging ingrained patterns. The long-term benefits of self-belief far outweigh the momentary discomfort. Think of it like starting any new exercise routine. It might feel awkward at first, but you persist because you understand the value. Another common obstacle is the feeling of unworthiness. I don't feel confident, so how can I high-five myself? The high-five habit is precisely for the times when you don't feel confident. It's not a reward for feeling good. It's a tool to help you start feeling better about yourself. It's an act of faith, a declaration that you choose to believe in your potential, even when your feelings lag behind. It's about showing up for yourself in the moments you feel least like it. This is where true strength is built. Waiting until you feel worthy is a recipe for staying stuck indefinitely. The high five is the proactive step that helps cultivate that feeling over time. Forgetting the habit, especially in the initial stages, is also common. The solution lies in anchoring it firmly to an existing, unshakable routine, like waking up or the moment your feet hit the floor. If necessary, use a simple visual cue, like a sticky note on the mirror, for the first few days. The goal is to make it so automatic that you don't have to think about it, but the initial conscious effort is crucial for embedding it. Treat it like learning a new sequence of moves. Repetition is key. The expectation of immediate, dramatic results can also be a pitfall. A single high five won't instantly transform your life. Its power lies in consistency and the compounding effect over time. Like building muscle or saving money, the benefits accrue gradually. Trust the process. Focus on showing up every day, performing the ritual with intention, and allowing the subtle shifts in self-perception and confidence to accumulate. The real transformation happens not in the individual act, but in the cumulative impact of thousands of high fives reinforcing a new internal narrative. The high five habit is more than just a morning ritual. It's a gateway to broader personal growth. Once you establish this foundational practice of self-acknowledgement, you begin to notice opportunities to apply the same principle elsewhere. You might start celebrating small wins throughout the day, finishing a task, handling a difficult phone call, making a healthy choice. You might give yourself an internal high five after a challenging workout, or when you manage to stay calm during a stressful situation. The core concept, consciously recognizing and affirming your own efforts and resilience, becomes a transferable skill. This practice fundamentally shifts your relationship with yourself. You move from being your own worst enemy to becoming your own best ally. This internal alliance is the bedrock of lasting change. It empowers you to take on challenges that once seemed insurmountable. The high five becomes a symbol of your commitment to your own well-being and personal development. It's the embodiment of the idea that the smallest, most consistent actions often yield the greatest results. It's the ultimate example of starting small, starting now, and building momentum through deliberate practice. Consider the inner critic, that persistent voice of doubt, judgment, and negativity. It's often the biggest barrier to progress. The high five habit is a direct, powerful antidote. It's not about suppressing the critic, but about providing a stronger, more consistent voice of support and belief. By looking yourself in the eye and offering that five, you are actively choosing self-validation over self-criticism. You are demonstrating to yourself that another perspective is possible, one grounded in acceptance and encouragement. Each high five reinforces this alternative narrative, gradually diminishing the power of the inner critic's voice in your life. You can think about the high five within the framework of habit loops: cue, routine, reward. The cue is waking up and seeing yourself. The routine is the physical act of the high five. The reward is the feeling of self-acknowledgement and the neurological boost. However, the habit goes a step further by infusing the routine with deep intention and meaning. It's not just the action, it's the purpose behind the action, the conscious decision to affirm your worth. This intentionality is what elevates the high five from a mere gesture to a transformative practice. The underlying principle of the high five habit, consciously affirming yourself, can be applied in myriad ways beyond the morning ritual. It encourages a life where you intentionally recognize your efforts, celebrate small victories, and offer yourself support during difficult times. This consistent self-affirmation builds a robust inner foundation, making you less dependent on external validation and more resilient in the face of life's inevitable challenges. It's about cultivating a deep, unwavering belief in your own capabilities, a belief that fuels your actions and shapes your reality. Ultimately, this habit is about embracing the long game. It's not a quick fix or a magic bullet. It's a sustainable practice for cultivating lasting change, starting from the inside out. By committing to this simple daily ritual, you are investing in yourself, building resilience, and unlocking your inherent potential. It teaches you that the power to change your life doesn't come from some grand, external solution, but from the consistent, intentional choices you make every day to show up for yourself. It's about recognizing that you are your most important relationship, and nurturing that connection is the first step toward creating the life you truly desire. The high five habit is an invitation to step into your own power, armed with nothing more than your own hand and the radical belief that you are worthy, capable, and enough right now. It's a simple practice, but its impact can be profound, leading you toward a more confident, resilient, and fulfilling life, one high five at a time. There's a pervasive pattern we fall into, often driven by the best intentions, a deep-seated desire to help, protect, or guide. We see someone, perhaps a child, a colleague, an employee, or even a friend or partner, heading towards a potential stumble, a mistake, or a difficult experience, and instinctively, we step in. We intervene, we correct, we shield, We direct. We try to smooth the path, remove the obstacles, and ensure a favorable outcome. We manage, we control, we orchestrate. But what if this constant urge to manage, to intervene, to prevent every potential difficulty is fundamentally undermining the very growth and resilience we hope to foster? What if the most profound way to help someone learn, mature, and become truly capable is not through management, but through a radical act of trust and release? This is the essence of the "let them" theory. At its heart, this perspective invites us to reconsider our default mode of interaction. It challenges the deeply ingrained belief that success and well-being are primarily achieved through meticulous oversight and the elimination of risk or discomfort. Instead, it proposes that true development, genuine competence, and lasting resilience are often born from navigating challenges independently, learning from mistakes, and experiencing the natural consequences of our choices. It's a philosophy rooted in a profound respect for autonomy and a deep understanding of how learning truly happens. It's about recognizing that sometimes the greatest gift we can give is the space and the trust for someone else to figure things out for themselves. Think about the times you felt overwhelmed trying to steer someone else's life, constantly offering advice they didn't take, trying to prevent mistakes you foresaw, or rescuing them from situations they perhaps needed to navigate themselves. There's an exhaustion that comes with this level of sustained intervention, a sense of pouring energy into efforts that might ultimately backfire. We might be creating dependency, fostering resentment, or simply preventing valuable learning opportunities. The alternative isn't indifference or neglect. It's a conscious, deliberate choice to step back, to allow, to trust that the individual possesses or can develop the innate capacity to learn, adapt, and overcome. It's about shifting our focus from controlling the outcome to creating an environment where positive outcomes are more likely to emerge organically from the individual's own efforts and experiences. This approach stems from understanding a fundamental aspect of human nature: our innate drive for competence and autonomy. When we are constantly guided, corrected, or rescued, that drive is often stifled. Imagine a young bird being constantly pushed out of the nest, rather than waiting for the moment it tentatively hops to the edge and eventually takes flight on its own. We might be trying to ensure the bird doesn't fall, but in doing so, we might also prevent it from ever discovering its wings. Similarly, when we consistently solve our children's problems, finish their tasks for them, or manage our employees' every move, we inadvertently communicate a lack of faith in their abilities. We might be sheltering them from failure, but we are also shielding them from the invaluable lessons that failure and the subsequent effort to overcome it teaches. The theory hinges on the power of consequences as teachers. Natural consequences, the direct results of an action or inaction, are often the most potent educators. If a child forgets their homework, the natural consequence might be a lower grade or a conversation with the teacher. If an employee makes a procedural error, the consequence might be a delay in a project or a need to redo some work. By stepping in to prevent these consequences, emailing the teacher on the child's behalf, fixing the employee's mistake without comment, we remove the learning opportunity. The individual doesn't fully connect their action or inaction with the outcome, and the lesson is lost. Letting them experience these consequences within reasonable boundaries of safety and ethical conduct allows them to internalize the connection between choices and results, fostering responsibility and self-correction. This isn't about adopting a hands-off approach devoid of guidance or support. It's about a crucial distinction between enabling growth and enabling dependency. Think of it as the difference between providing a scaffold that supports learning and building a cage that restricts it. Providing support might mean being available to answer questions, offering resources, setting clear expectations and boundaries, and providing constructive feedback when appropriate. But it doesn't mean dictating the exact steps, doing the work for them, or shielding them from every bump along the road. The scaffold is removed eventually, allowing the structure to stand on its own. The cage, however gilded, inhibits independent strength. Applying this perspective requires a significant internal shift. It means managing our own discomfort, the anxiety that arises when we see someone struggling, the impatience when they don't learn as quickly as we think they should, the fear of potential negative outcomes. It involves cultivating patience and developing a tolerance for imperfection, both in others and in the process itself. We need to trust that struggle is often a prerequisite for strength, that mistakes are stepping stones, not dead ends, and that individuals are more capable of finding their own way than we often give them credit for. This trust extends to believing in their inherent resilience, their ability to bounce back, adapt, and learn from adversity. Consider the domain of parenting. The let them theory encourages moving away from excessive hovering, the helicopter parenting, or clearing every obstacle from the path, the lawnmower parenting. Instead, it suggests allowing children age-appropriate opportunities to face challenges. This could mean letting a young child struggle momentarily to zip their coat, allowing a school-aged child to experience the consequences of not studying for a test, or permitting a teenager to navigate a social conflict with a friend without immediately jumping in to mediate. It's about providing the environment, the tools, and the loving support, but allowing the child to be the primary actor in their own life. We can ask guiding questions. What do you think you could do differently next time? Rather than providing the answer, we can focus on their effort and strategy rather than just the result. This builds self-efficacy, the belief in one's own ability to succeed in specific situations or accomplish a task, which is a cornerstone of confidence and competence. In the workplace, this philosophy translates into empowering leadership. Instead of micromanaging tasks, effective leaders trust their teams. They delegate not just tasks, but also the autonomy to decide how those tasks will be accomplished. They create space for experimentation, understanding that innovation often involves trying new approaches that might not always succeed. When mistakes happen, the focus shifts from blame to learning. What went wrong? What can we learn from this? How can we prevent it in the future? This fosters a culture of psychological safety where people feel comfortable taking calculated risks and learning openly. It encourages initiative, problem-solving, and ownership. A leader practicing the let them theory might offer strategic guidance or clarify the overall goal, but allows the team or individual employee the freedom to determine the best path forward, trusting their expertise and judgment. This not only leads to better outcomes, but also higher engagement and development within the team. Even in personal relationships, the principle holds weight. Resisting the urge to fix a friend's problems, to tell a partner what they should do, or to manage the choices of family members is a powerful application. It means listening without judgment, offering support without directives, and respecting their right to make their own decisions, even if we disagree with them or foresee difficulties. True support often looks like simply being present, offering a listening ear, or affirming their strength, rather than taking over. It acknowledges that each person is the ultimate authority on their own life, and that our role is to be a supportive presence, not a director. This approach, while sometimes feeling passive or difficult, honors the autonomy of the other person and strengthens the relationship by building trust and mutual respect. It avoids the common pitfalls of unsolicited advice that can feel like criticism or control. The underlying psychological mechanisms are compelling. Self-determination theory, for example, highlights autonomy, competence, and relatedness as key drivers of intrinsic motivation and well-being. Over-controlling behaviors directly undermine autonomy. By allowing individuals to make their own choices and direct their own actions, we nurture this fundamental need. Similarly, allowing them to grapple with challenges and achieve success through their own efforts builds a genuine sense of competence. The feeling of mastery that comes from overcoming an obstacle independently is far more powerful and lasting than any success achieved through external direction or intervention. Relatedness is maintained not by controlling others, but by offering supportive, non-controlling connection. Internalizing the let them theory requires confronting our own fears. We fear failure, not just for ourselves, but for those we care about. We fear regret, the potential guilt if something goes wrong that we could have prevented. We might even fear losing our sense of purpose or identity if we're not constantly needed as the fixer, the manager, the rescuer. Letting go requires acknowledging these fears without letting them dictate our actions. It means recognizing that our value isn't solely tied to our ability to control outcomes for others. Our value is also in our ability to trust, to support, and to allow others the space they need to become their best selves. This shift can be profoundly liberating, freeing up mental and emotional energy previously spent on excessive management. The process isn't always linear. There will be times when the instinct to intervene is overwhelming, especially when the stakes feel high. It requires ongoing practice, self-reflection, and a willingness to adjust. It also requires discernment. The let them theory is not a blanket endorsement of abandoning responsibility. It applies most powerfully in situations where the primary goal is fostering growth, independence, and resilience. It draws a line at situations involving immediate danger, significant harm, or serious ethical breaches, where intervention is clearly necessary. The art lies in discerning where the line is. Where does allowing consequences become neglect, and where does support become control? This line often depends on the age, maturity, context, and specific capabilities of the individual involved. Consider the metaphor of a gardener. A gardener doesn't force a plant to grow in a particular direction or dictate how big its leaves should be. They prepare the soil, provide water and sunlight, offer nutrients, and prune away diseased branches. They create the optimal conditions for growth, but they trust the inherent nature of the plant to reach for the sun, to develop its own structure, and to flourish. They observe, they nurture, but they don't control the fundamental process of growth itself. In the same way, we can be the gardeners of the people in our lives, providing the supportive conditions for their growth while respecting their innate trajectory and allowing them to reach towards their own potential. Another way to frame it is through trust. At its core, the let them theory is an expression of trust. Trust in the individual's capacity to learn. Trust in the learning process, even when it involves mistakes. Trust in resilience, the ability to overcome setbacks. Trust that allowing space for autonomy will ultimately lead to greater competence and self-reliance. This trust can feel like a leap of faith, especially when we are accustomed to a more directive approach. It requires us to shift our belief system from one based on control to one based on faith in potential. The journey of adopting this perspective often involves small experiments. Notice a situation where you typically jump in. Pause. Ask yourself, what might happen if I didn't intervene? What could they learn if they navigated this themselves? What are my fears about letting go here? Can I simply offer support or ask a question instead of giving an answer or taking over? Start with lower stakes situations and gradually build confidence. You might be surprised by the capability you witness and the relief you feel from stepping back. The benefits extend beyond the individual being allowed to grow. For the person practicing the let them theory, there's a potential for greater peace of mind, reduced stress, and improved relationships. By releasing the burden of controlling others' lives, we free ourselves to focus on our own growth and well-being. We can engage with others from a place of genuine support and connection, rather than from a place of anxiety and obligation. Relationships can become more authentic and less fraught with the tension of management and resistance. We learn to appreciate the unique journey of each individual, recognizing that their path doesn't have to mirror our expectations or preferences. Ultimately, this theory encourages a fundamental reevaluation of what it means to truly help someone. It suggests that sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is to get out of the way. It's about releasing our grip, trusting the process, and allowing individuals the space to discover their own strength, learn from their own experiences, and ultimately author their own lives. It's a challenging path, demanding patience, courage, and a deep well of trust, but the potential rewards, fostering capable, resilient, autonomous individuals, and cultivating more peaceful, authentic relationships, are immense. It's a quiet revolution against the pervasive culture of control, offering a path toward greater freedom, competence, and genuine human flourishing for everyone involved. It invites us to embrace the uncertainty, trust the inherent capabilities within each person, and discover the profound power found in simply letting them.